Hey, good morning, everyone. Time for me to go live again, I guess. So, hope everyone is doing okay today. This is episode 2 of Side Hustle Sundays, and we're going to talk about different side hustles today. One interesting side hustle that I've just been thinking about recently is a side hustle that not very many people do here in Montgomery, Alabama, but I think that there are several people who do it in areas like New York and big places where there are a lot of tourist attractions. And the side hustle may be a full time hustle for some people. And the one I'm thinking of is side hustle, which would be doing street art or going out and um, being a street performer. Um, I've never been to New York City itself, but I understand that you can't go from one corner to another without seeing someone doing some type of side hustle or some type of street performance. I I guess the most famous street performer that I'm aware of in New York is the guy that does this plays the guitar with in his underwear with cowboy boots, and I can't remember what. Maybe my friend Kathleen can tell me. She lives in New York. I can't remember what the name of his show is that he does, but maybe he's the underwear cowboy or something. I don't know. But anyway, um, everyone is having a good Sunday. This is a difficult um, time for a lot of people. You know, if you watch the news recently, you see that there are mass shootings going on in different parts of the country, and our hearts go out to those folks in Texas who were recently victims of a mass shooting. Very sorry to hear about that with the folks that were victim for that. Anyway, I put out a new video yesterday. My new video was a walkthrough of one of my other Airbnbs. It's called No, Kathleen, I cannot hear you. Um, I can bring you on if you want to speak. Yeah, the Naked Cowboy. That's what he's called. He's called the Naked Cowboy. Kathleen, I'm going to share a link. Now, if you would like, you can put your camera on. If you don't, then you can just talk, and you don't have to show yourself or your background. But I would be very interested in hearing um, about New York and some of the street hustles, I guess you would call it, in that area. So I'm going to put a link down here so that you can get on here. You don't have to use your video if you don't want to. I certainly would understand if you don't want to use your video, but I would like to talk with you about what you do there in New York. And Kathleen is a street performer, and she could talk. And she may not feel comfortable coming on today. She may want to come on next week. But if you do want to come on, you're certainly welcome to today. And you can talk about your experiences there in New York. She's been there since she was in her 20s. She is from Montgomery, grew up here, and was close friends with my wife, Mrs. Side Hustle, also known as Carol. Um, and they've known each other all of their most of their lives. I wouldn't say all of their lives, but I would say most of their lives. And so they've been very good friends for many, many, many years. And I've only recently gotten to know her, which she seems like a very nice person, and it's good to be able to make your acquaintance, Kathleen, um, and hope to get to know you better going forward. But one thing that brought us together to get to know each other a little bit better with me and Kathleen is that I am in the process of purchasing her property that she has across the street from our house. Your browser doesn't support StreamYard. Okay. Well, you need Google Chrome for StreamYard. I don't know what browser you're using, but if you have Google Chrome, then go into Google Chrome and get into the Side Hustle Sam on Google on YouTube, and then you should be able to get into it there. So try it that way and see if it works for you. Anyway, we're kind of waiting now to see if anybody else is going to come on. Just kind of watching. Hold on just a second. Let me do something here. All right. Now, there we go. Okay. So I see that we have at least one person that is watching now. And I guess that is you, Kathleen. And if there's anybody else watching, then okay, there's another one that's just joined. So leave a comment so that I know that you're here. If you have any questions or if you want to talk about anything, if you have any topics of interest. I am talking to Catherine Mock, who I mentioned earlier is a recent new friend of mine that I've just recently met. We haven't really had a whole lot of conversations, but my wife and I are going to be buying her family home, which is across the street from our home. And like I was saying, she grew up with my wife since they were little kids, and they know each other very well. But I am hoping to start work on that project once we get closed on the house on the 20th, and then get the repairs made that need to be made, and get it ready to open up as a third Airbnb. So currently I have 2 Airbnbs that I run, and we have 5 rental houses that are in this neighborhood. So hope everyone's doing okay today. What kind of topics would you like to talk about? We have been having an extreme amount of heat here in Montgomery. It's not as bad as it's going to be. I know it's going to get much, much worse before it gets any better. But we've been having temperatures in the 90s most days. And I know it's only going to get hotter as the summer goes on. But another thing that's affecting all of us is the price of gas. If you've noticed, it is above $4 a gallon most everywhere, around $4.50, and they're expecting it to get as high as $6. Hello, Kathleen.
I figured it out.
All right. Well, it's good to see you. So you went back out and went into Google Chrome. Is that how you got in?
I'm getting an echo.
You're getting an echo. Oh, Well,
Are you getting an echo?
you should be watching it on. There's a little bit of a delay if you're watching it on YouTube, but if you're watching it, just turn your volume down. Um, are you wearing earplugs?
I'm using earplugs.
Okay, well, you shouldn't be getting any kind of echo. Are you hearing yourself? Is that what you're saying? You're hearing me do it double, or
Then
you?
I can't hear you.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Maybe I have two different. Maybe I have two different sites open or something.
Do you have two different web pages open?
I can hear you.
Okay, how is it now? Is the echo going away?
I have two different stream yards going.
Okay, close one of them out. That's what the problem is.
Let me see if I can shut one. Do you still hear me?
I can hear you fine.
Now it's not that. Oh gosh.
Yeah, and I'm not getting any kind of an echo.
You're not hearing an echo.
I'm not hearing any echo. Just close the one that you're not using. If you close the one you're using, then we'll lose you.
All right, I had 3 windows open.
Ah, that's what it was. So how's the weather up there in New York now?
It's really nice here today. No humidity. Let's see what the weather is here.
You're in New York City, right?
I am in Manhattan.
Manhattan. Oh my goodness.
Let's see. I went for a 2-hour walk in Riverside Park. It's 74 degrees here today. No humidity. It's beautiful.
It's 87 degrees here.
Yeah, street performing here is a full-time job for many musicians.
Do any of them do it part-time as a side hustle?
Some people do, but they do well enough. And then some people that tour, like New York, all the apartments are so close together that I know some, famous people that when they're in the city that want to practice and jam will come to the streets or the subway to practice because they are too noisy in their apartment and their neighbors will be upset. So they go in the subway and they make money while they're practicing.
Yeah, I don't have the talent to do street performing, but I know that there are some people that have talent in different areas. Like some people can play musical instruments, and some people can do art, and they can like. I know that there's some people who set up booths where they'll draw your picture, and actually very talented artists that can do that there.
Oh yeah, they do them real quick. I was just in the park walking, and there was a big children's party, and all the adults had the table set up, and we're having a barbecue or dinner, and they had a musician there doing magic show for the kids out in the park. And then when I went up to get to the Zabar's, which is a real famous deli here that's known for its cheeses and its olives and all that type of stuff. There was a jazz trio playing out there. Guy was playing clarinet, lead guitar, and the bass stand up bass. So you really, even if you can't afford to go hear music just is free out on the street. If you want to throw a quarter or a dollar, you want to throw more. Now people are starting to throw, I've got Venmo up on my site, and people send through Venmo. The city's getting quite expensive, so I don't, I'm almost 64 years old, so I'm getting close to wanting to move to New Orleans.
Can you play us a song?
Well, I'm really a guitar player, but it's easier to hold on to the ukulele. I'll play a little part of one. In a long black limousine, oh, the shiniest car I've ever seen. Oh, the back seat is nice and clean. She rides quiet as a dream. Someone dug a hole 6 long feet in the ground. I said goodbye to you and then I threw my roses down. Ain't nothing left at all but the end of being proud. As I sit here in this car and you're flying through them clouds, I've had some time to think about it. Oh, and watch the sun sink like a stone. I'm almost done. I've had some time to think about you all along. All right. Live from New York City.
Yeah, you're very talented.
Sam's Side Hustle.
So you've been doing that as a full-time job since you were in your 20s, right?
I came up here when I was 25 years old, and I'm still here.
Wow.
But it's different now after the pandemic. I play more on the subway platforms and stuff, and you're required to wear a mask in any kind of like mass transit, like the buses, the trains, the subway. So it's a little hard singing through an N95 mask.
Imagine. Yeah, that has got to have a big effect on your ability to perform.
Well, you want people to be able to hear you, but you don't want to strain your voice trying to sing through it.
Yeah.
So I pick stations that only one train comes through occasionally, so a crowd builds and stuff. But the city's changed a lot, and a lot more people are starting to play above ground. They used to be stricter about above ground because of noise violations.
Mhm.
Like nobody wants a jazz trio underneath their window in a residential neighborhood, at 10 o'clock at night if they have kids. So they do have restrictions on areas, but now it's just free fall. Like they've got the restaurants out on where the meter parking used to be. Now they let them build structures for outdoor dining because of the pandemic. So the city feels more like this big outdoor party. You walk down the street and you can hear people dining and laughing and having a good. They're not inside; they're inside and out.
Yeah.
But New York's in we're in our 5th wave, so we've got the highest transmission right now in the country. But it's coming down. I don't know if the rest of the country. I noticed New Orleans is kind of going on the uphill. I don't know about Montgomery.
Yeah. Well, we haven't had a breakout lately. It's been pretty. We don't hear about a whole lot of new cases of COVID here, so that's good. That's a good thing.
And I think it's harder for the bigger cities because we're closer together. Like it's when you get together down south, you can sit out back or in your lounge chairs and barbecue. Whereas here, when people get together, they're sitting straight across the table from someone.
Yeah.
And even if they put plexiglass up or whatever, sometimes I think that traps it in probably more than letting it out.
Yeah. Well,
so what are you up to?
Well, you know what I'm up to. You and I are working on a deal where we're going to be closing on a house on the 20th, and this channel is about side hustles, and the house is actually going to be part of a side hustle.
An Airbnb. Oh, once you get it done, you're gonna put it on the Side Hustle Sam's website.
Yeah, that's right. And I'm going to show some stuff here. See if I know how to do this right. Let's see, entire screen share. All right, you can see my screen here. Yeah.
I saw something come up. Oh, that's the inside of the house? Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
Some recent pictures.
So you'll have some before and after. Well, the yard looks nice.
Yeah. This is the going in the bathroom, and
Right.
you know, there's. I'll probably take this heater out,
Right.
but do you know if it still works?
I do not believe it still works. It could work. It needs a transformer up in the attic. But
Yeah, I was really impressed with how good the tile looks and the fixtures. Of course, the sink has a little rust in it, but that can, I'll probably replace it with another sink.
yep, I grew up in that house.
And this is in the bathroom, I think.
Right.
Looking up at the ceiling, you took all that stuff down yourself, huh?
I did.
That was a lot of work, and you hauled it
I
off.
enjoy. Yeah, I did, and I enjoy doing that.
Yeah. Was there
It's
was there
making me a little sad.
was there any um what do you call it? This stuff right here.
Insulation?
Insulation, yeah. Was did you have to take a bunch of insulation down too?
It was, but back then they didn't insulate well. And then after, I guess that house was built in 1955 or something.
Uh,
My parents bought it in the mid 50s, I do believe. And they just didn't insulate stuff real heavily back then. Electricity was cheap, and now it's quite expensive. But to not have insulation in your house, the electricity bill can be quite enormous.
yeah. I see you left the towel, which is a good thing because I plan on keeping the towel.
Yeah.
Yeah, keeping it. Just the only thing is I don't have another one of these to go in this spot right here. So
I bet if you hunted hard enough, you might find it.
you got the original mirror, you got the original light fixture. And
See, I wanted to take it back to its original form and make it be the 50s style house it was.
yeah, and that's what I'll do. I'll keep it original like it was before. Um, but I, when you took all this down, was this plaster or was it sheetrock?
It was all sheetrock. There was never plaster in the house.
So this
I
one
think
must have been made right as they started using sheetrock because
correct.
all the other houses that I bought of this era, they have plaster walls.
Oh wow, I didn't realize that.
Yeah,
We must have been right at the beginning of that.
and I know because you had some flooding because your pipe busted. It wasn't because there was a roof leak, but you had some flooding and it killed all your parquet flooring in this area right here, right?
Right.
So this little piece of wood right here, was there a closet?
That was a closet there. And my mother took the closet out, and then they put a beam up there. I don't know if that's a load-bearing wall or not. I had intended on taking that beam out, so when you walk in, the whole room is empty.
Yeah,
But
it is a load bearing.
it is a load-bearing wall?
No, I don't think it is. I think I can go ahead and take that out.
Right. I talked to a carpenter, and he said that it was not a load-bearing wall.
Yeah,
It's not a very deep ceiling. The ceilings are really low. I mean, the roof.
yeah,
So I can't imagine it's bearing much load,
yeah.
even if it were.
And the roof looks to be in very good condition, really. The only area where there's rotten wood is right around the front door above
Right.
where that's the only place I saw where there was any rotten wood. This is over the front door. The rotten wood was right in here, and it looks like you may have had like your gutter get filled up or something, and it pushed water back into the house or something like that.
Right. I don't know. Not to name names or anything, but I did have someone. I do, or I've spoken with him, but he wasn't real keen on keeping the gutters clean.
Yeah. Um, this room looked good. The parquet flooring, I think I will be able to keep in here.
Yeah, I think I cleaned those up really good.
Yeah, looks really good. So that room will be fine, but as it is, I'll probably replace these doors. Looks like somebody got angry with the door.
That was that crazy Steven guy, the drug addict.
Yeah.
You got to
So
watch out. It's like the whole nation is full of people that are. We used to call that the pink bathroom, the little half bath, and we used to call the yellow bathroom or the pink bathroom. I
uh,
love those pink flooring.
the reason I asked about the uh, if you had
See, the
see,
leak was above that room,
so that
and
this
you can see it if you look at the ceiling. You can see about a 6-inch splice of the flex or the PEX or whatever they call it, where he replaced that piece of pipe. It
yeah
turned 4 degree. It was 4 degrees, and it just like how charming.
yeah I love this fireplace, and you have the sitting area over here, and then this
Yeah,
window, and then you have the windows that go around the porch area right there.
all
Right,
right.
that gives you a good view of the backyard.
It's a. My mother loved that room. She used to do all kind of artwork in there. That was her table, and that was her room. She painted and made all kind of crafts, and if it was Christmas time, she was making Santa Clauses in that room. That was like her world.
Now this
It's a
kitchen,
big kitchen.
I plan on trying to maybe make some new doors for the cabinets, unless you know where the doors are.
You know,
And
it's been a while since I've, like through the pandemic, I hadn't really been to the house in like 3 years.
yeah,
Um, except for just to pop in quickly and pop out. But
I think I can fix these cabinets, but I do want to put a granite countertop on it.
that'd be nice.
Yeah, I like the top cabinets are in good shape.
What are you going to do with the refrigerator? Just get rid of it and put a new one in? That's really where the refrigerator, we used to have the refrigerator on the opposite side of the room next to the washer, a
Really,
big refrigerator. Yeah.
right there.
Yeah. Right. Uh huh. That's where the refrigerator was when we were growing up.
Has the washer and dryer always been there?
The washer and dryer's always been there. It wasn't those in particular, but that house has had many different washer and dryers over the years.
I don't know. I think I'll keep the refrigerator um, at the location where it is now.
Right. Just put a larger one in.
Yeah, maybe. Or if this one serves the purpose, I might just keep it for a while. Um,
Right.
who knows? You said the stove is fairly new, so
I bought it and it's never been used. I never got back there due to multiple reasons, but the I got the simplest stove you could get because if it was going to be rental property, I didn't want it to have all kind of electronics and have the lights go out. So it's like bare bones, simple stove.
uh-huh. And
And I particularly like cooking with gas, not electric.
yeah,
I just have more control over it.
I like cooking with gas too. And another one on the one that's across the street from this property, the one I showed in my video from yesterday. I don't know if you got a chance to see it. I call it Pine Place. It has a gas stove in it.
Straight across the street from this house?
It's straight across the street from where I am currently in what I call my headquarters.
Oh, over on Shadow Lane.
Yeah. Well, we won't say any names because we don't want to dox ourselves.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Okay, sorry about that. Yeah.
No problem. But I do want to get some more cabinet doors on here. And if I can't get cabinet doors made, I'll just replace this whole cabinet here.
I can't imagine that they're not somewhere in a closet. I just don't throw stuff away usually.
Yeah.
Um,
And this is the outside.
right.
It just needs a little cleaning, pressure washing, and maybe replacing a couple of boards right in there. But other than that, it looks pretty good.
Are you going to keep the storage shed, or are you going to take it down, or?
Yes, I like the storage building. It's a good place to keep stuff.
1716 Pine Lane Road. Look, there's a Santa Claus. I bet my mother made that.
Yeah.
When did you take these pictures?
Yesterday.
Yeah. I always wonder if my yard's getting cut or not, you know.
Well,
He hits me up for it every 2 weeks, but sometimes I wonder.
it's kind of hit or miss.
Well, it's not hit or miss for him getting paid.
Yeah. Well, about half of the backyard is actually cut.
He's supposed to cut the entire backyard and the entire front yard.
Well, you know who you're dealing with.
I don't know him that well, but Jeff recommended him so. And he lives right next door. He uses my lawnmower, you know, and I'm curious. It's so weird. I just got my hair cut. I had a ponytail that was 24 inches long a week ago. That's how long it's been since I cut my hair. So it's so weird to see my hair short. Well, you just didn't want to go in a salon. A lot of them are closed. You couldn't even get your hair cut through the pandemic.
Yeah, I think I went about a year not being able to get my hair cut, so it got kind of long.
Oh, mine was like, I had a 24-year. I'm gonna donate it to like the hair care, whatever. Yeah, Locks of Love. Yeah. I mean, it literally was down to my waist.
Well, I'm surprised.
So
I'm surprised we haven't had more people join us today.
Well, it must be a pretty day there.
Yeah. Well, it's in 86 degrees.
Is it humid?
It's hot. It's hot out here. And yeah, we always have humidity. You know how it is in Alabama.
Yeah, Alabama's sort of in a valley, so it stays moist. Montgomery.
Speaking of Alabama, are you an Auburn or Alabama fan?
Oh no, I might get in trouble here. I'm an Alabama fan.
Okay. Well, let me show you something. This hat right here says Auburn on it, right?
Correct. How'd that happen?
I think it was
a misprint. I mean, the same company made the hats for both, and they made a mistake.
Yeah, that's what I think happened.
Because even the coloring of the hat is not really Auburn colors.
Alabama colors.
Yeah, except it says Auburn. Well, that's a unique mistake. Well, I can't imagine what reaction someone would get if they were to wear that hat.
I kind of
I'd like to wear that around my family on the Auburn-Alabama game, because everybody in my family are Auburn fans.
Uh-huh.
And one of my nieces and myself are Alabama fans. So that would confuse them. I'd be like, have an Auburn hat on. If they said something, I'd turn around and say Crimson Tide.
Well, I think it's unique, and I'm going to give it away next week to one of the watchers. So
how many viewers do you normally get?
Usually, I have about 4 or 5 on a Sunday, but for some reason we had another.
Maybe they're at the lake or the beach or something.
There's another YouTuber that gets on here a lot during his lunch break on Sundays. He works on Sundays, so his YouTube channel is oh, I'm having a mental block right now. What is his YouTube name?
But don't you normally go on at 1 o'clock?
1:30.
Oh, I thought you said 1 o'clock, so I was looking for you at 1.
No, I usually come in at 1:30 when I do a live stream on a Sunday. It usually starts at 1:30.
I'm surprised y'all hadn't heard any New York City noise. Usually it's noisy, but the city's been so chilly that people haven't been going to the beach. So now we have a nice 74, 75 degree weather, and it's sun is just beautiful and the blue skies. And
what is the price of gas up there right now?
I don't drive, and I really have no idea.
Would you say more people use the train or subway than drive?
Yeah, and the electric bikes have become real popular. Over the last 10 years, they've built a massive amount of bike lanes. And then during the pandemic, people started getting delivery, and then just regular people started using bikes to go places. And we have a whole bike system called City Bike. Citibank sponsors it. So you can join that, and you can go to any bike rack. They're all over the city with 30 bikes at each rack. And as long as you only use the bike for 30 minutes, it's free. So people will use it just to jump on, run down 10 blocks, do some grocery shopping, ride back up, lock the bike, and then they use it for free. And then if you go over an hour, if you go over 30 minutes, then they charge you some nominal fee. So people are all over town on the city bikes too. Tourists ride them. They don't go very fast. The electric bikes go real fast. Do y'all have electric bikes going on in Alabama?
No, I don't see any here in Montgomery. I don't see any electric bikes. But
Montgomery's just not a pedestrian biking town. It doesn't, there's no sidewalks.
No.
I mean, I would never drive from Eastern Forest to our cul-de-sac. I would fear for my life riding down Vaughn Road.
Yeah. Well, there's just no bike lanes.
I know. I've tried, even trying to walk to Publix or Starbucks. You have to go across the street, and you're still in a parking lot. You can't really stay on the side because it's overgrown and there's only a curb. And it'd be nice if they did put some sidewalks where it's not that far to Publix to just walk around the corner,
Yeah. Well, I mean, being in the South has its pros and it has its cons. And I think that's probably one of the cons is that you don't have the ability to bike where you want to go. Whereas in the bigger cities, you have so many different modes of transportation. You really don't have to own a vehicle to get where you need to go.
Right. Like in Austin City is sort of a city similar to Montgomery, but they have the moped type bikes for rent, and people bike all over the city, tourists and everything, to get places instead of having to drive a car and find a parking. It's so much easier to find parking on a little. They have Revel, City Bike. They have so many bike rental places in the city that so you have to watch out for the bikes just as much as you have to watch out for cars.
Well, my son lives in Chicago, and he doesn't even have a place to park a vehicle, if he even had a vehicle, at the place where he's renting.
Well, there's no street parking?
No, and you have to have a private park in order to park on. You can't park on the street.
You can park on the street here, but there's a push for making a lot of streets pedestrian streets now, where there is no cars. And people that have cars aren't very happy about it. And definitely Uber drivers and cab drivers and,
I'm an Uber driver.
You're an Uber driver?
Yeah, I tried it out as one of my side hustles just to see what it was like.
What
And
was it like?
well, it was fun to drive different people, different places around the city. The only thing that kind of got me to deciding it wasn't a good idea is I got to thinking about watching different YouTube videos about Uber driving, and then I got to thinking, if you're going to be an Uber driver, you really need to have a camera in your car so that uh, if one of your passengers claims that you cussed at them or drove drunk or something like that, that you would be able to dispute it. And I don't
Did
have
you,
a
did
camera.
you ever get bad reviews?
No, I got all really good reviews. I did have one person get in my vehicle that wanted me to go a different route than what Uber was telling me to go, and I told them. Now this person did give me a low review, but I told her, I said I have to stay on the route that Uber provides, or they will think that I'm lost, and they'll be it'll affect my rating as a driver. So you're supposed to stay on the route that they give you and take that route. She was wanting me to take a different route. She was saying it was quicker or whatever. And I told her I couldn't do that. So she didn't like that.
Well, it wasn't going to really change the price, even if you changed routes. Well, how long has it been since you drove an Uber?
It's been about 2 months. I just did it for a couple months just to have the experience.
What's
And
the situation? Do you have flexible hours?
oh yeah, you can drive anytime you want, day or night. The other thing that was kind of concerning to me as an Uber driver is they can give you a like if you're not at a certain level as an Uber driver, they're not going to tell you where you're going. So you could get someone that would rent your Uber or ride with you that might need to go to Atlanta, and of course that would be really good if you didn't have anything else to do that day. But if you're just doing it part time and you're not intending on driving to Atlanta that day, um, you know that's just not
So
something.
people pay that kind of money to drive to Atlanta?
Oh yeah, yeah. There are people who actually take Ubers from Montgomery to Atlanta
Wow.
and even further. But it's not real common thing. It's something that occurs from time to time. But I never had that happen. But
Well, was the pay substantial?
I averaged about $15 an hour. And
Even with gas?
yeah, I kind of took, that's me taking the cost of the gas out of it and just uh, figuring, what the net income is averaged out over the number of people that I drove and the amount of time that it took me to do the drive. But yeah, I would go out to the Montgomery airport from time to time, and looks like we got 4 people watching now, Kathleen. So for those people that just joined us, Kathleen lives in New York City, and she is a longtime friend of my wife Carol's. And she is living in New York City and has been there since she was in her early 20s, mid 20s or early 20s.
Mid-20s.
Yeah, and she
I played y'all a song. Y'all have to rewind it or go back and watch the beginning of the video.
yeah, she has as a street performer there, and that's how she earns her living. She's a full-time performer, and you've been on a couple of talk shows.
I've been on Good Morning America, Rosie O'Donnell. I've been on 48 Hours. I've done a lot of shows. I've played at CBGB's, the old punk rock club. Anyway, I've had a great time up here. I'm getting to the age where I'm ready to change professions, though, or change locations.
So what's Rosie O'Donnell like in
Well, you
person?
don't really meet them, like you are in a room, in a dressing room, and then when it's your turn to come on, They bring you out, and she'll come and shake your hand and say how great or thanks for being on the show, but that's about all the contact you have with her.
Hmm.
What do you think about Rosie O'Donnell?
I'm not
She's a
impressed with her.
well, yeah, I didn't really have an opinion one way or the other. You know, like getting asked to do a show like that. It was live. She had 3 million viewers at the time when the show first came on. So to play live on TV in front of 3 million viewers was quite
Yeah,
exciting.
that is awesome. Well, she hadn't been. Does she still? She don't do a talk show anymore, does she?
She used to be on The View, but she's always been kind of controversial.
Yeah.
I think even on her show, she was a little controversial. Like she would be confrontational with the guest about certain issues.
Yeah, I think that was part of the show. I think they had her be controversial intentionally to add interest to the show. I think that's my opinion.
You think so?
Yeah, because she's good at being controversial.
Yeah, like on The View, her and Whoopi having fights, or her and Joy, you know, Megan, you know, she seems to. I mean, you know, she's got the famous feud with Donald Trump for years. You know, like they were like at each other's throats way before.
Yeah,
when he was still doing The Apprentice and she was on The View.
that's right.
That was our first part of the reality TV show that was, you know, everything has become a reality TV show to me, no matter what side of the fence you're on.
Even the YouTubers are like reality TV shows, right?
Right.
Yeah. Do you watch much YouTube?
You know, I mean, I watch certain shows that I like, you know, I watch, you know, it depends on the guest. You know, if I'm interested in the guest, I like it because you can just watch that segment. You don't have to watch the entire show,
Uh,
nor do you have to subscribe to any particular. Like I don't have cable. I just have $49 internet, so I don't have Hulu. Or sometimes I'll kick on Netflix once they've like start putting new shows on. I kind of rotate around, like. Once I can't find anything else to watch on Netflix, I'll cancel it and change to, you know, and I keep Amazon Prime because I order so much stuff through Amazon that it basically comes with your Amazon
yeah.
Prime Video.
Yeah.
And so when you run out of stuff to watch on one of the streaming services, I just cancel it and start up another one by then. But you know, I don't spend a lot of time watching these. And during the pandemic, definitely watching and binge watching stuff on Netflix because there was nothing else to do. You couldn't get together with your friends, and New York got hit the hardest first. So
Mhm.
like we weren't going anywhere. Nobody was meeting up with anybody.
Didn't De Blasio lock the whole city down?
Yeah, it was like I don't know if it was safer. No, Kay Ivey did safer at home,
Yeah.
but in New York, I think everybody the first month did a lockdown.
Well,
That first month,
I've been
don't
going
you?
to my job ever since. I never worked from home like a lot of people did.
Some people love it. Some people like the camaraderie of being in an office space, and some bosses want their team back in the office. You know,
Hmm.
so and then some people are being forced in their jobs because they don't want to, and yeah, we'll see. I mean, we've got skyscrapers all through Midtown that are empty, and the longer they stay empty, they're subject to getting Legionnaire's disease. You know, like bacteria builds up in it. If the building's not meant to be empty, it's meant to. The toilets are meant to be flushed, and the sinks are meant to have water running down them. You know,
Hmm.
so for them just to sit unused is, you know, is a maintenance problem in and of itself. You know,
Right.
Like the Empire State Building lost all kind of commercial people that had been in that building for years. And it's quite a shame, like, because it is a really gorgeous Art Deco building. And you would hate to think that it just empties out. Everybody says people will come back.
Hey, Kathleen, I want you to meet.
Hey.
This is my son, Justin. He lives in Chicago.
Oh, wow. It's Chicago.
Kathleen lives in New York, Justin.
Oh, hey, Kathleen. Pleasure to meet you.
Pleasure to meet you too. Chicago, New York.
Yep.
And Alabama.
Indeed.
Are you from Alabama as well, Justo?
I actually grew up in Metro Atlanta, but I certainly spent my fair share of time in Alabama. So I guess you could say I'm half Alabamian. And
well, that's a good mix. I'm like definitely got the Alabama thing going, and it works up here in New York for you sometimes.
oh,
I've definitely had some police officers like, I always play the goober personality from Gomer Pyle when I'm like dealing with an officer up here.
What do you think the logic is? How do you get off?
I don't know. There's just something about the Alabama Southern accent, or just, for one thing, we're way more polite. I don't have any attitude, and they appreciate that. And that Southern accent, I think that they think you're dumb, and they don't want to be mean to someone dumb. They just
I guess they assume you're disabled.
I got pulled over. It was an unmarked car, and he was sort of in my way. I couldn't get out of my meter parking place, and there was someone in front of me, so I wiggled and wiggled, and I was having a problem with my seatbelt not snapping and unsnapping. So while I was trying to get out of that tight spot, once I got out, my seatbelt, I realized wasn't. So I may have swerved a little or whatever. And so he followed me and popped his lights on and said that I didn't use my turn signal to come out into the lane. Well, both of them were illegally double parked in my way, like, so when he pulled me over, I was absolutely polite to him, and I said, I am so sorry. My seatbelt was messing up. I was trying to get in between y'all, and I'm real sorry that I didn't turn on. And he goes, well, when he saw my Alabama driver's license, he says, so y'all don't use your blinkers in Alabama? And I said, no, we use them. I just didn't use it then, but I apologize. And he gave me my license back and said, well, just be more careful.
How long were you listening, Justin?
I actually just signed on. I was reading the book of John, and when I got done with my reading this morning, I saw that you asked me to come on, so I decided to hop on.
Oh, okay. Well, I was telling everybody that Kathleen is a street performer in New York, and she's been doing that for like 25 years as a way of making a living.
No, that's a risky occupation in New York.
Yeah. Not so much. It was in the 80s because we were in the crack epidemic.
Mm-hmm.
But I was so young back then that you think you're invincible, and I just thought this is how New York's supposed to be. Right. Then the quality of life became really good in New York. The crime rate went down. The crack epidemic subsided. People quit selling crack because the crack dealers, if the crack people didn't have enough money, they'd beat them up and steal their crack. So they went back to dealing heroin because heroin addicts won't beat you up.
Yeah, they'll
beg. Right, they'll go and maybe steal something from their grandmother, but they won't beat up the heroin dealer. Mm-hmm. And so the city became more mellow. But through a couple of administrations, they really cleaned up the city. And whether you like Bloomberg or not, he really cleaned up the city, big time. He revitalized all the Riverside parks. They used to just be dilapidated piers and dangerous, and he just turned that into all like outdoor recreational area. You can go around the entire city now on a bike. And
I wish the same could be said for Chicago. Apparently, a beloved homeless man known as the downtown walker. He has some kind of nickname like that. Just an old, I think, either Polish or Czech man was set ablaze by a young Hispanic man right by Trump Tower in downtown Chicago a few weeks ago.
how horrible.
And people are getting shot, gunned down in broad daylight, just random bystanders.
Well, they had a shooting in Philadelphia, right in South Street today or yesterday evening. And playing in the city now, everybody's coming out of the woodwork from this pandemic. Crazy. I mean, they're shooting people in the subway cars, just random people. They're throwing people into the tracks. They're stabbing people. And that hadn't happened in the city for years.
And did you
this
see
pandemic
that
has made people go crazy.
Did you see the video recently of, I think it was some sort of transsexual black man who wants to look like a woman, and he was harassing people, and then there was this one woman minding her business on the subway in New York, and he apparently sat down next to her, and as she was kind of shyly getting up, like she didn't want to be too obvious about trying to get away from him, but she sort of started edging away and started to kind of levitate from the seat. He grabs her hair and pulls her back down, and he sounds like a demon. Like his speech is really guttural and low. So he's not really kind of.
He's mentally ill.
He's mentally ill in every conceivable way, but potentially even possessed, I would say.
Wow.
Probably lots of possession in New York as well.
No, I was playing the other day at 103rd Street, and the crowd was wonderful, and but then there was just one girl that was just crazy that kept wanting to sing along that wasn't in key, and she basically was just yelling. And then the crowd gets aggravated at that and started yelling at her and saying, "This woman came down here to sing music and we want to hear her. Shut up." She wouldn't. And this woman had a pit bull with her on a leash.
Don't even get me started on pit bulls. I think they should all be executed.
Oh, but the woman had the pit bull in the subway, and she kept telling the crazy woman that was bothering me to leave him alone. And she walked up to her, and the dog got aggressive with the crazy. So I had like one woman trying to defend me with the pit bull, and another woman all crazy.
I can't believe that New York even allows pit bulls. I mean, they're a threat to human life. They need to be put down.
I think it was a pit bull. It may have been a big boxer, actually. I can't remember. All I know is there used to be a time when New York had its crazies, but you didn't feel like they were going to attack you. Now, you make yourself more visible by singing, and then, you got cash being thrown into your case, and there's just a lot of crazier people out there. I mean, I've played in the subway for so long that, and I write my own music, and I knew all the homeless people, and they used to defend me, and they would give me money. And if I wrote a new song, I was always shocked because, like, some guy that lived in the subway to the point that, like, his clothes are leathered and he's dirty, and I just thought he was mentally ill, which he is in his own right, but at the same time, he was very coherent. That I played a new song, and he goes, "Oh, I like your new song." Like he recognized that that it was a new song, and he was well read. You would see him reading. They'd have all the time in the world, but he read all the time. And I finally ended up talking to him one time, and he had traveled quite a bit, and he just kind of gave up on life, like. Something happened with his business, went under, and he just didn't have the stamina to try to get himself back together. And it's tough when you hit rock bottom. And it's easier for men to live on the street than it is for a woman to live on the street.
No doubt about that. That's got to be true.
I mean, they camp up, they set up tents and camp in, the parks and stuff like that. And people hike the Appalachian Trail. Just women are way more vulnerable. So the only time you really see women homeless, they're tagged with a guy. Like they're with someone.
Either that or, well, I guess, I mean, I have seen some notable I don't know that they're homeless, but they're definitely lone women that I always see on the street. There are a couple characters in my neighborhood, and they're always lone women. So maybe if it's like someone who doesn't go anywhere and is local and maybe has like a spot in a shelter, maybe then a woman could potentially be alone because she does have some
Yeah,
support system.
yeah. New York, people have a spot in the shelter, but they kick them out at 7 o'clock in the morning,
Right.
and they can't come back until the evening. So they're out all day long, but then they go and have a place to stay for the night.
Hmm.
But at 7 o'clock, they wake them up and they leave and they clean the place up, and you can't just hang out in the shelter all day.
Yeah. So in Chicago, when the shelters close, they just go and they set up shop in the L. That's where they live during the day.
Right? It's getting that way in New York. New York, the homeless situation was, once again, back to Bloomberg, was like you never saw homeless people. They're everywhere now, and that it started happening through De Blasio's reign.
Hmm.
And I'm not a big fan of De Blasio, and I don't know who voted for him because I don't know anybody that is. And this is a very democratic city.
You know
So
what's funny about De Blasio? Apparently, that's not his real name. He deliberately came up with a fake Italian name to pander to older, probably less likely to vote for him Italians.
I wonder what
But
his name is.
it's some Jewish
He's so
sounding name, something like
he's
that.
so arrogant.
Yeah, he's
so
sick.
arrogant.
And
He's running again for. I think he's trying to run for some Senate position or something again now.
his daughter apparently is also a high-profile degenerate. That's what I've heard.
He was terrible in the something's spinning here. What happened?
I'm going to show you my daughter. She's the one who got the talent in our family.
Oh, is this her music video? Look, she got 29,000 views.
Or is doing
Bella Russo?
performances.
How do you say it?
I think she's trying to go for like a French thing, Belarus,
Belarus.
which translates to red beauty or something like that.
Where does she live?
She currently lives between Alpharetta and somewhere in Florida. That's all I know. She works for some kind of tech firm, and she's kind of like a self-governing, self-employed in a way. I mean, she's employed by someone, but I think she's a contractor. She makes a ton of money, so she's back and forth between Georgia.
So she's able to keep her music funded through her job, or she doesn't have to rely on it for food.
Actually, I'm not entirely sure that she makes a lot of music anymore. I mean, maybe she does every once in a while, but I think she's pretty much working now.
How many kids do you have, Sam?
I have 4.
Oh, she's playing the uke too.
Oh, Dad, can you pause the movie for a second or pause the video? Can you pause it? So I didn't notice this, but she's got some Freemason symbolism in her music video. Did you notice that? She's got the angle and compass there.
Yeah.
What is the Freemason? What is that?
Hey, listen to the words to the song. I'm going to back it up, okay? Listen to the words to the song.
John Dylan kicked a hole in the wall. Johnny Walker came from red.
Justin, did you hear the first few words?
Something about Dad took us somewhere trying on Stedman hats. John Dillon kicked a hole in the wall.
She said Dad took us to the lodge.
Yeah,
we tried
okay,
on-
interesting.
And we tried on dead men's hats.
Oh, I thought you said Stedman. I don't know what a Stedman hat is, but I thought that's what it is. Yeah, you know, all Masons are dead men because they go through a symbolic death.
Well,
I'm not familiar with exactly what the Masons are, or
Why don't we talk about Freemasonry for a little bit? I think Kathleen would like to hear something about what it is. I'm Dad, come on. It's not coming through well. It's bad connection. Maybe you shouldn't do that.
Dad.
I'm full disclosure, I am not a Freemason, but it's a subject in which I'm interested. I have done quite a bit of personal research into the phenomenon. But my father he's a 32nd degree Freemason, currently not paying his dues, currently not attending the lodge, but who knows what kind of secret he's
What happens if you don't pay your dues?
you just kind of don't get dinner. It's fine as long as you don't give away the secrets. Although, I mean, technically speaking, a Mason could essentially tell you all of the secrets of Freemasonry and you wouldn't understand them because there are layers and layers of symbolic meaning behind everything that happens in a lodge.
Is it religious affiliated, Bible affiliated, or is it its own?
Well, this is what's so interesting about it. So the first thing you have to know about Freemasonry is that on one level, the face they present to the public is that they're a philanthropic organization. They give to charities. They hold drives for, underserved groups of people in society. That's one face of the Freemasons. But one thing they do require of all of their members is that they believe in a divine creator or some sort of, God, essentially, a single God that is hierarchically above all things. But they're not specifically Christian. There are Muslim Freemasons, there are Jewish Freemasons. You don't even necessarily have to adhere to a specific faith. You just have to believe in a creator. And just to give you an idea of the kind of multi-layered symbolism and meaning that exists in Freemasonry, the most prevalent icon of Freemasonry that you see on all of their lodges, they put it on the pediments of their lodges, is the angle and compass. It's kind of like a diamond-shaped thing, and inside of the angle and compass, there's the letter G. Now, the letter G can mean multiple things, but the whole point is it doesn't just mean one thing. And as you get deeper and deeper into Freemasonry, you learn the multiple meanings of the letter G. So one of the obvious meanings of the letter G would be God, right? But there are other meanings of it. And one of those other meanings would be gnosis, which is the Greek word for knowledge, and not like a passive knowledge, like you have a book stored away in the back of your brain about who was the president in 1842, but it's an active knowledge. It's a knowledge that you gain through some sort of intensive immersion into the world with some sort of active principle of reasoning. And so, there's a lot of the occult and the esoteric inherent in Freemasonry. And I can't claim to be a total expert or to know the meaning behind every single thing because I'm not a Mason and I'm not sure I ever will become one because I'm not sure exactly how I feel about them. But I am very interested in their ideas and their symbolism. The other interesting thing about Freemasonry, and I'll shut up after I say this, is their language is symbols, like hieroglyphics. And in fact, a lot of their visual language comes from ancient Egypt.
Oh, wow.
And so they literally communicate through images, through symbolic images. And that's how the knowledge of Freemasonry has been passed down for millennia. And it's a very, very ancient order.
Now,
So
how
that's
did
what
you
I'm
get
gonna
into it, Sam?
I want to know this story.
I'm not a practicing Mason. I actually, like Justin said, he was correct that I am behind on my dues by several years. So I pretty much am not considered a Mason because I'm not paying my dues. But uh, I was a police officer up in North Alabama, and a lot of police officers you'll find are Masons, and it helps them in their careers in becoming, getting into different jobs and different things. It's a brotherhood, um, the Masonic,
Well, do they meet places and have
like a fraternity.
services?
No, the lodge is not a service in itself.
It's just
It's
a
more of
fellowship all?
it's a fellowship, and it's like a fraternity, and it is
You get
not as
together and shoot the breeze?
well. That's why I'm not paying my dues, is because really it's just a bunch of old farts sitting around doing nothing but memorizing stuff and repeating what they've memorized, and it's just, to me, it's pointless.
Now, you're a part of a Christian church, a Lutheran or a Presbyterian? And what is Carol? Does she go to Aldersgate or does she go to?
It is, and I am Church of Christ. I go to the Church of Christ,
And Carol goes where?
to the Methodist Church, but she also goes to the Church of Christ. She goes to
So
Aldersgate.
you were raised? Were you raised? Yeah, I remember her going to Aldersgate. Do you So you have you raised in the Church of Christ?
Yes.
Yeah, sometimes it's hard to leave your like your roots.
I haven't.
But it sounds like being a Mason, you're allowed to still be a Church of Christ.
Well, the thing is, so Freemasonry is inclusive of anyone who publicly amongst their fellow Masons avows a belief in a divine creator. But there are Freemason lodges that have a kind of dedicated religion. You don't have to belong to that religion, but there is kind of like a dedicated religion for a lot of lodges. So what I mean, I see you shaking your head, but what I mean is that there's a preponderance of a certain kind of religious faith in certain lodges. So most American lodges will have like a Bible, and the vast majority of their members will be Christians.
All of the lodges have a Bible in the middle of the room.
That's not true. So in Freemason lodges in the Middle East, they have a Quran in place of the Bible.
Oh, so the Masons are worldwide.
They are. It's a very ancient international order.
You are correct that in what you said, that the Masons have to believe in a deity, a single deity, and it doesn't have to be the God that we know. But a lot of people confuse Masonry with religion. It's not religion, but you do have to believe in a deity. And in the lodges that I've been to, there is always a Bible, and there's a ceremony at the beginning of the opening of the lodge where the Bible is opened, and the compass, the square and compass, is laid on top of the Bible, and the candles are lit. So the Bible is considered a light. In other words, it enlightens people who are journeyers through life in what is what a good life looks like.
Right, but at the base, you might also Masonry is a sort of mystery school and a philosophy, but it's a philosophy that's metaphysical in nature, which is why a belief in divinity or a creator or a deity is so important to Freemasonry. But the interesting thing is they have what's called a perennial philosophy, which essentially means that the basic idea of religion for Freemasonry is that all the different religions in the world share the same source, that is divinity, the divinity from which all religions spring, which is why it's all inclusive of anyone who professes a belief in divinity.
That's true. And the reason it's called Masons is because of exactly what you would think is the builders of the Solomon's Temple were Masons, and builders today are called Masons that do the that put bricks together, and they use a lot of symbolism in Masonry, like for example, when you build something out of bricks, you put mortar in between the bricks, and the bricks are held together with mortar, and so symbolically, we are considered to be like the bricks that are being held together with similarity and commonalities, which is the mortar, and the commonalities are to be a decent human being and not be a dirtbag.
And then also, according to Freemasonic legend, the Masons were the ones who built the Temple of Solomon when the temple was initially built in Jerusalem. And the architect of the temple, besides Solomon, was Hiram. The Freemasons call him Hiram Abiff. In the Bible, he's known as Hiram of Tyre. And Hiram is kind of like this legendary central figure to the Freemasons. And a part of his mystery or his legend is that he's murdered and he's buried on the temple grounds in Jerusalem. And then from his shallow grave, an acacia tree has grown. And the acacia tree is one of these multi-significant symbols of Freemasonry as well.
Oh, so that's still there, the acacia tree.
Well, I don't know if it is. I don't even know if it ever existed, but it's a part of Freemason lore at the very least.
Right.
Part of the rituals of the Freemason actually enacts the entire situation where Hiram Abiff is killed, and he's actually he's killed by people that he trusted, that he never, he would have thought would protect him.
That seems to be a common thing in history.
Yeah.
Yeah, that happened in ancient Rome, right? With Caesar.
Right. Caesar. Yeah, many people.
JFK. There's a conspiracy theorist, quote
Lincoln
unquote,
too.
that I'm very interested in. His name is Bill Cooper. He ran this radio show in the 90s. He was actually killed in 2001 by police in Arizona. And in the 90s, he had a show called Mystery Babylon. And in this show, it's a radio show that he would broadcast in the mid-90s. He basically, over about 30 to 40 episodes, unveils all of the secrets of Freemasonry and talks about this cabal of Freemasons who are trying to establish a one-world communist government. And it's very interesting, actually, because he very accurately describes a lot of things about Freemasonry. Now, as to whether they're really trying to establish a one-world communist government, I'm not confirming or denying that.
Well, what's happening to the world now? Like, it seems like the world's falling apart right now.
Yeah, but one of the mottos of Freemasonry, is Ordo ab Chaos, which means order out of chaos. And so one of the ideas is that
you need
create
chaos before
so that you can establish an order as an answer to the chaos.
It's sort of like enthalpy and entropy.
Yeah.
They constantly fight with one another. Order fights with disorder.
Although in the Freemason idea of Ordo ab Chaos, it's a grand chessboard, and there are people playing the game. And so people are controlling the order and the chaos so that people will willingly accept the new order when it's offered as a remedy to the chaos.
Enthalpy and entropy has no choice. It's chemistry. Everything falls apart, and then it works together to organize itself, and then it falls apart and works to organize itself.
The order, or the thermodynamics, the laws of thermodynamics, basically.
Right.
Well, that's a very.
Our rooms get dirty. We work hard and we get them clean, and then they get dirty again, and we work hard.
Don't you just want to throw your hands up sometimes? I mean, there are only so many times I'm willing to dust a bookshelf.
Oh yeah, I'm in this phase right now where I'm like decided that I only need 2 forks and 2 plates and 2 cups. I never have anyone at my house. I don't need 8 plates. I'm
Mhm.
about to take them to I'm also moving out of here, so I'm getting myself down to the bare necessities
Are you a
because
minimalist, Kathleen?
very much so. And it's collecting too much stuff. I feel like I get robbed of, I don't know. I feel like it's too much responsibility to have too many clothes. But so
I'm bordering up
there's a
here.
place called Housing Works. It's a thrift shop right down the street, and I've been going every day, taking stuff there every day.
Yeah,
But I have to put it in the suitcase and drag it down Broadway, and I don't have a car.
I've got the exact opposite problem. I have too much stuff.
Well, some people like having, they like their collectors. I mean, there's room for both types of people.
Yeah, but
Like when I go to someone's house that do have interesting things, I feel like I'm in a museum. So I can appreciate a person's collection of stuff.
hey,
But if I had to keep it all dusted and clean, I'd be out of my mind.
speaking of interesting things, this is one of Governor Wallace's ashtrays.
Wow. I used to work for the cable company, and I used to be the person assigned to work on the governor's mansion. So I used to see him all the time. He was always smoking a cigar, regardless if he was in his wheelchair or in his bed. He'd be in his nice bed with the nice blanket, silk comforter. But he still had that cigar going.
You remember this guy?
It sounds familiar.
He's the one that went to prison.
I haven't been to, I haven't been in Alabama long enough to. I think the last person I heard of getting kicked out of office was the person that Kay Ivey took over for.
Yeah, Robert Bentley.
She surely is hanging on to her job. She's a tough woman.
Yeah, she is, and she's very popular. I have no doubt that she'll be reelected.
She's funny.
And
She's
so
real blunt.
you're going to be living in New Orleans, right? You going?
Yeah, who's the governor of New Orleans? Edwards?
I don't know.
Yeah, we'll see. New Orleans is a wild town. I'm glad I'm going from New York there because New York is, like I said, I don't know what's going to happen in New York over the next 2 or 3 years because, it suffered financially so badly. And, we lost almost 500,000 people left the city. And a lot of people won't come in or come out, they're still working from their homes in Connecticut. They won't come back to their city apartments, even though they still have them. And, but all the restaurants are kicking it good up here because people usually aren't in the neighborhood. Usually they eat in Midtown because they're at a high-rise building in Midtown working in an office. Well, now all kind of great restaurants are opening in my neighborhood because everybody's staying home. I live in the Upper West Side, so it's all the people that normally would go down to the financial district or the Midtown area, the business world or the entertainment world, they're all working up in the Upper West Side. And so the streets are just packed with people having lunch at places that normally would not have a big lunch crowd. They would have a good dinner crowd, but now they have a good lunch crowd. I mean, it's like a big party up here. But both the amount of vagrants and the amount of, I put some stuff on the streets the other day, cleaning up, and I had a lantern, it's like a railroad lantern that I had found at a thrift shop, and I thought I've kept this for a long time, and I never really turned it into a lamp, and so it's time to let it go. So I put it on the street, and then there's this guy that's homeless who carries sometimes they carry a lot of stuff with them. They got bags of stuff that they've collected that they keep. All of a sudden I saw this homeless guy that he sleeps in 3 different places. He had picked up my lantern. He was carrying it. Now he has his lantern as a part of his collection of goods he hauls around.
Nice.
I was like, well, he comes from that generation that something touched him about the railroad or something. My dad was a railroad guy.
Yeah.
he worked in sales, sold freight lines for the SNL. He worked for everything. It kept getting merged from the Atlantic coastline to the seaboard coastline but he worked for the railroad since he was like 18 years old. He did go to college and then go back and work for the railroad, but he retired with his, I don't know, 50-year pen and from the top offices in Atlanta from the railroad. The railroad used to be the job to get.
Well,
Great retirement benefits.
Justin's probably wondering how I know someone in New York.
Well, I've lived across the street from Carol for years, and I see Sam almost every time that I come to town. I see y'all. We do the wave, and me and Carol will hang out in the street and yak for a while. I've only gotten to know Sam really well over this last few weeks.
Justin, are you still there? His picture is frozen.
Wake up, Justo.
Justo. His name is.
It says Justo on his screen.
Yeah, his picture is frozen. I think he's got knocked off or something.
Maybe he's just in some kind of meditative state.
No, I don't think so. I think
all right. He's gone.
He's gone.
Well, I guess we've gone way over your hour.
Yeah,
it's almost 4 o'clock.
It was a good chat today. I appreciate you joining us today, Kathleen.
That was fun.
Yeah, and I'll be back again next Monday.
Okay, well, we'll see where I'm at next. Who knows where I'll be next week? You do it once a week on Sundays?
Yeah, I do it every Sunday. Yeah, I think Justin's back now. We lost you, buddy.
We're signing off. I need to grab something from the other room and get back to my organizing. I have someone coming by to pick up some stuff in the morning.
I don't know if you heard it or not, but we were telling you how we knew each other.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm sure you can reiterate that to me. But Kathleen, it was a pleasure to meet you, a pleasure to talk to you.
Yeah, it was a pleasure meeting you too.
Well, we got a group. I mean, there's 3 of us from all over the United States here on this chat today.
Alabama, Chicago, and New York.
I thought it was pretty cool.
Well, yeah, I like people from all over the country.
Only through the use of the internet is this possible.
As Boogie2988 says, coming at you once again live through the power of the internet.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, like I was telling Kathleen, I appreciate you being on today, Justin, and I appreciate you being on today, Kathleen. And we'll do this again next Sunday at 1:30 p.m. Central.
Okay.
Time, which I guess you on Eastern Time, Kathleen?
Right. You're an hour later than I am.
Yeah. So it'll be 2:30.
When it's 1:30 here, when it's 1:30 there, When it's 1:30 here, it's 2:30 there.
You're an hour of us.
When it's 2:30 here, it's 1:30 there.
So it's 4 o'clock there now.
Yes, sir, it is. Right on the nose.
All right. Well,
I live across the street from Carol since we grew up. We grew up across the street from each other.
They play
Carol, and I see Carol every time I come to town. She watches out for the property. And Sam joined her life at some point, and I kept up with that all on Facebook. And I've seen your entire family pictures and the wedding and all that. And I've only gotten to know Sam really well in the last couple of weeks.
You grew up on Sylvan Drive, or the?
We're not supposed to say that.
Yeah, never mind. Oops.
I'll have to go back and edit that.
Yeah.
Anyway. Carol and I have known each other. We used to carpool to school together. We've known each other since we were 6th grade, 5th grade, 6th grade.
But she grew up across the street from us. And
do y'all see Wayne ever?
Yeah, we see him every Christmas. But Justin, we're going to be buying her family house across the street from her this month, and
yep.
We're going to be renovating it and turning it into a rental.
Okay.
Airbnb. Everybody in Montgomery is doing Airbnb, and they love it.
Yeah, and then so that way Kathleen will have a place to come back to when she visits Montgomery.
That's right.
And when you come to town, we'll put you over there too, and that way you won't be so far away from us.
Okay, I'll hold you to that.
Yep.
And Justin's getting married in the fall, and his future wife is a beautiful person. I just love her to death.
Well, congratulations.
Yeah.
September 4th.
Oh, congratulations.
Thank you.
Yep.
All
And
right.
we'll see y'all next time. Thank y'all for joining.
All
Okay.
right.
Don't
Thanks,
forget
Side
to
Hustle,
fine.
man.
like this video and subscribe, and come back
I subscribed before I got on.
Yeah,
I just have to remember to do Chrome.
you're a subscriber, and so is Justin. So I'm not talking to you guys. I'm talking to anybody who watches this video.
Can you see if other people are watching?
If you like the quasi-conspiratorial Freemasonry discussion, we can do more of that too. I know that'll draw a different crowd than the eBay side hustle crowd, but might boost your numbers.
I'm gonna be in New Orleans looking for some treasures at the thrift shops, and then sharing them with Sam, and maybe he can hustle them through his site and get a little New Orleans Montgomery vibe going.
There you go.
Not a bad idea.
Maybe you could start up a little eBay business while you're in New Orleans, make you a little money on the side.
Yeah, that'd be fun. All right, signing off.
Y'all take care.
All right, you too.
You too.
Bye.